various other things, and about who said what about whom, which has dominated the news for all of this week. And today, of course, we're talking about UKIP and difficulties, shall we say, in the leadership. This story has been slowly, literally bubbling away for all of this week. Cape Town, South Africa, a big modern city of 4 million people, may be about to run out of water. Imagine the consequences of that. It's all to do with climate change and politics both together. But Cape Town could become the first city in the world to run out of water. I've found, and we're about to hear from, I recorded this earlier today, this morning in fact, an expert on all of this. His name is Anthony Turton, and he is a man who's been concerned about this going to happen for about 15 or 16 years. This is the conversation we had this morning.
I am a professor at the Centre for Environmental Management at the University of Free State, but in my career development I was formerly an intelligence officer with the South African Secret Service, and in fact I established the Environmental Security Division within the Secret Service that looks specifically at water as a national security risk.
Which indeed, I think a lot of people don't actually get that fact, but it is a vital utility. And if you start having issues of control with your water supply, then you've got major problems that could spread out. I know we're going to talk about those issues. That's an amazing body of expertise that you've got, Anthony. Look, I think a lot of the media up here in the United Kingdom have not really bothered very much with the story of what is happening to the water supply in Cape Town. The Americans have taken more interest in this story than we have in Britain, which is surprising. Explain to us here what it is that looks likely to happen if something miraculous is not done pretty quick.
Well, Cape Town is I would call it a significant city globally. And when I say significant, it sounds a bit arrogant, but I think Cape Town is one of the top 2 tourist destinations in South Africa. It is the epicenter of a vast tourism industry. People come from all over the world to experience the sea and the mountains and beautiful climate and down Cape Town. And the reality is that it's the first significant city in the world that is literally going to run out of water in the next 90 days for a number of complicated reasons. So it's a story of global significance because it's part of it is the whole story about adaptation to climate change.
Right, and I think this is going to be a big shocker for a lot of people because, like I say, a lot of the media up here, some of the heavier newspapers in the UK have bothered with this, and I think the BBC reported something about it, but the story has yet to make a full impact up here. Maybe I can help that tonight. But, you know, we have to just ponder a little on those words for a few seconds, that one of the biggest and most important cities in the world, and a place, as you rightly say, that people flock to because it's absolutely beautiful, but also a place that generates food and flowers and wine for the world, is staring down the barrel of running out of water. It is an astonishing thing to reflect on.
If we think of it historically, think of medieval Europe, where villages were centered around a well, where people would spend inordinate hours of the day just drawing water and gossiping and exchanging things at the town square. That's where we're going to. And unfortunately, because none of us have had the privilege of living in medieval times, we don't have a frame of reference against which we can measure our performance. So consequently, what is happening is literally it is beyond the cognitive ability of anyone to actually understand what it means to literally have a city of that magnitude run out of water. In my past as an intelligence officer, we ran certain models and scenarios looking at these global environmental catastrophes, etc. And of course, one of them was this whole thing about migration flows, which the whole Brexit debate is based on today. In the case of Brexit, it's clearly not about water, not about environmental issues, but it's about refugees. And what happens literally when day zero hits Cape Town, the entire city becomes some kind of refugee camp. But unfortunately, they don't have the facilities that refugees would normally live on, because the volume of water that each person is expected to live on is less than what would be provided in a United Nations refugee camp. Just to give you but one example.
if this was Britain, the first thing people would be doing would be saying, what is the government doing about this? But the problem it has been lately, from what we've been seeing in our media here, is that your government is very much preoccupied with issues to do with your president and possible corruption allegations surrounding this man and his ability to remain in office, which is not looking very great at the moment. So it seems that your politicians may have taken their eye off the ball.
Well, not only have our politicians taken their eye off the ball, they've actually put their hand in the cookie jar, and they've been plundering the state. So we now have a series of criminal investigations where literally billions of South African rand have been plundered and stolen, and that's part of the problem, because all of the infrastructure projects that have been initiated under the presidency of Jacob Zuma have all been predicated on the assumption that there's a feeding trough that's been created, and the political power has been derived from the politics of patronage, and therefore power is derived from an individual that decides who can feed at the trough and how long they can feed at the trough for.
All right, so a lot of this means, Anthony, that crucial things that should have been done, and I know that for years you've had problems with Eskom, your power provider, not having the infrastructure to supply a stable power connection to a lot of people. You know, you've had power cuts there. So all of this means that vital things have not been invested in. So when you've got a bit of a problem with the weather, I presume there have been droughts down there in Cape Town, you haven't got the backup. You haven't built ways to be able to get water from other places when the water starts to get a bit thin.
Well, there are two parts to that question, so let me deal with them briefly. The one part of the question is the fact that we've known about this in the scientific community since 2002. We've known